Apologies to anyone who's sick of me talking about this game. If you want to see me talk about other stuff, my Rebel Assault and Still Life 2 reviews are struggling. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League still refuses to accept reality and die, so Season 1, Episode 2, Duality has been released. This is the second half of the expansion that added the Joker. It adds one shitty new boss fight, one shitty new enemy type, one shitty new mission, one shitty new status ailment, and a bunch of shitty new equipment barely distinguishable from all the other loot that you've been collecting. The only reason this crap expansion's even worth talking about is the sheer desperation of Rocksteady that's on display at this point. This episode shouldn't be titled Duality. It should be titled, Dear God, we're sorry, please take us back, we promise we'll fix it and do better next time. For starters, the new expansion opens with the Janker expositing to nobody that he totally plans on becoming a villain again once this whole mess is over, because we're sorry! Look, we'll start writing him like he's the actual Joker and not a generic gay stereotype, we're sorry! There are patient interview tapes where the Janker and Harley Quinn actually interact and talk about friggin' nothing of any significance because we're sorry! Look, we're actually making use of literally the one character relationship in the entire game that anybody gives a rat's ass about! Anyway, there are still 0 story missions or any actual narrative to the new levels. You just grind up a few of the same missions that you've been playing for about 20 hours until your ranking in the new expansion is high enough to go fight Brainiac. Except, you know how in the first part of the Joker expansion you had to get to Fear level 35, which took us 8 goddamn hours of mind-numbing, boring-ass grind to achieve? Yeah, the new Brainiac takes Duality level 10, which only takes about 2 hours. This full expansion takes 2 hours to finish. We're sorry, we are so sorry! Look, we'll cut down on the grind for all the shit that you actually want, so we're not just openly wasting all your time with copy-paste content! Oh, and another thing that they have apologized for, the Battle Pass doesn't take nearly as long to complete anymore. From what I've heard. We're not dumb enough to pay for Battle Passes in this group. So, it's the same old grind. You have missions killing goons, missions guarding poison ivy plants, missions guarding hacks friggin' terminals, missions rescuing civilians for Toyman, and missions where you smash crystals to expose incubators to destroy them. And yes, I am always in favor of crystal smashing. Except a funny thing seems to have happened. Normally when you play these incubator levels and you destroy crystals to drop the incubator's shields, at least one of the crystals will regenerate to where there's kinda some pressure on you to hurry up. As of this expansion, in addition to power lines being colored so you can tell which crystals lead to which incubators, crystals don't regenerate anymore. We're sorry! Look, we'll neuter the missions to make them less annoying. Just please keep playing the same levels over and over! They did, however, add one new mission type to the game. Missions where Brainiac is phasing a satellite from another world or some crap, and you have to fight enemies that are phased into other dimensions. It's a copy-paste of the hack terminal missions, only you have to do it 3 times. And now new enemies will randomly become immune to all damage unless you interact with a terminal to where you can shoot them. So you have to constantly backtrack to terminals and constantly guess at whether you can damage an enemy and for how long. It's a cloned mission made exponentially more annoying. And speaking of annoying, the new enemies! Episode 2 adds Green Lantern-infused enemies that gain shields that are immune to everything except poison, because we're totally going to keep trying to force you to hijack your builds while teasing that poison builds are going to be useless soon. And the only way to render Green Lantern enemies vulnerable is to shoot their constructs. Primarily big floating mines that don't do anything, and every now and then a rifle that doesn't do anything. Rocksteady must think Green Lantern is useless. But yeah, the problem is that these enemies will get their shields, but the constructs that you need to shoot to render them vulnerable won't friggin' appear. You have to sit on your ass surrounded by invincible enemies until eventually the damn game wakes up and remembers to spawn the shit that makes the game function. And then you can actually fight them and keep playing. Green Lantern enemies aren't even hard. Their constructs take like 2 seconds to spot and shoot. They were just programmed by a douchebag! There's also a new enemy called the Promotonaut, which that's easy for people to say, that runs around promoting enemies to higher tiers. meaning that it runs around turning enemies into brutes because they don't have as many enemy types as they think they do. But here's the kicker. Near as I can tell, the promotionauts are invulnerable to everything except the Suicide Strike, a special move that you have to charge. The primary way to deal with them seems to be to just follow them around, ignoring all the other enemies, to just shoot the enemy they want to promote and keep doing that endlessly. You are given a warning when an enemy is being promoted, but the warning is so short that you can't do anything about it. I'm starting to get the sense that Rocksteady has absolutely zero idea how to design looter-shooter enemies that are an actual threat, because the new enemies, the new mission, and the new infusion are all designed around making things flat-ass invincible. Like they can't think of any other mechanics. Except it's not challenging, just friggin' annoying. What's funny is the Green Lantern enemies are another attempt to force you to farm poison gear to get through their shields. Except Miles had an armor-piercing pistol, and I had a shotgun that made enemies easy to shield harvest, which also penetrates the shields. We didn't need any new gear to make the Green Lanterns our bitches. At the very least, I'd say that Episode 2 is more stable than the first Janker expansion. We didn't experience any weapon bugs or broken missions. Miles playing Harley got stuck in a wall again, but I just blame God for that at this point. It turns out there's a good reason we never ran into a bugged mission, though. Remember in the first Janker update video when I ranted about the terraforming missions? The missions that used to work fine, but in the expansion they have bugged timers to where they can go on forever and there's nothing you can do about it? Yeah, they took out those missions. Episode 2 has a total of 0 terraformer missions because I guess Rocksteady just couldn't figure out how to fix them. There are also no penguin rescue missions, maybe a single Toyman rescue mission, and 0 multiverse incursion poison ivy missions. The missions that you have to farm for mastery levels and good gear have been stripped down to 1 incubator stage and 5 basic combat encounters. Okay, that's not even an apology. That's just giving up at this point. The Janker expansion was also infamous for introducing mastery level modifiers that basically rendered all the game's equipment useless except for new poison gear in a desperate bid to force you to farm fresh equipment and play longer. That's all been thrown out the window, and now mastery level modifiers are a few passive gameplay buffs that, honestly, we barely even noticed and felt like they had little to no impact on gameplay. We're sorry, we are so sorry! We'll stop forcing you to throw out all your stuff, just please take us back, please! One positive change that Rocksteady added was the ability to scrap gear as soon as you get it from the mission reward screen. It doesn't entirely fix the inventory, but it's at least something, and I made heavy use of this feature because, much like Part 1, most of the expansion gear is pure crap. I got 1 reverse flash boomerang that I liked. Schnick got 1 Black Manta rifle that he liked. That's it. In fact, the rarity of the loot drop seems to have decreased, so there's even less point to playing the non-mastery level missions than there was before. The new gear is Two-Face themed to where you can inflict a new ailment called Punishment, which looks like it's just a generic critical hits deal more damage ailment that feels like it barely does anything. And the perks you get for equipping a full Two-Face loadout? Yeah, at a glance, pretty much useless. The most I noticed using any Two-Face gear is that every frickin' 30 seconds or so, my Janker would toss a big-ass coin off to the side doing Lord knows what. One other desperately needed update is that the incursion missions take fewer resources to play because we're sorry, we'll take out as much of the grind as we can, just please don't leave us! But I will actually be nice to Episode 2 of Suicide Squad's DLC because there were 2 things that our whole group actually really enjoyed. The first was this.
Look at King Shark.
King Shark's trying to dance with us but doesn't know how.
Well, I got a brand new combine harvester and I'll give you the key. I love King Shark trying to dance.
He's trying so hard. We capped off our playthrough by all dancing on a rooftop, and the AI King Shark got stuck in the middle of us and started spastically jittering around to where he was dancing too. That was an honest, rare moment of joy for... Wait, what the fuck?! Yeah, you remember how all the characters got Easter-themed springtime outfits a while back? Well, Episode 2 added a bug to Deadshot's spring outfit that turns him completely invisible. His skin glitches to where he's just a set of gear floating around. He's invisible during exploration, he's invisible during gameplay, he's invisible while crossing multiverses, he's even invisible on the main menu! And the funniest part, when we went back to the Hall of Justice where Deadshot takes his helmet off, it turned him into a floating head. A skin that used to work fine is now bugged out. How does that even happen? It's like they saw the Insomniac Spider Cube become meme fodder and wanted a slice of that pie. Even though the expansion only takes about 2 hours to finish, it still took us 2 gameplay sessions to complete. See, our first stream of these levels, I was the only one to get any progress on the duality level that you need to fight Brainiac. Miles and Schnick didn't get any progress, and it took us a while to figure out that it wasn't a bug. You see, you don't actually get any Episode 2 progress unless you go into some obscure menu and select the correct option. Even if you're playing in Episode 2's map, playing Episode 2's levels with someone else who's getting Episode 2 progress, you don't automatically get Episode 2 progress. Like, what kind of dumb asshole programs the game that way? Can you interpret that as anything other than a scam to force you to play longer? The third Brainiac turns into a clone of Superman, and to Rocksteady's credit, I don't think this is actually too similar to the pre-existing Superman fight. Mainly because the pre-existing fight was busted and he flooded the field in cheap damage to where you were constantly hemorrhaging health. Instead, Brainiac just kind of flies around attacking one player at a time and constantly changing his target to where he was barely a threat to any of us, since the rest of us would heal up before his eye turned to us again. He just kind of flies around doing nothing, and every now and then you have to stop to shoot power crystals, exactly like the normal-ass incubator missions. He was much shorter and much easier than the Green Lantern fight, because we're sorry, look, we'll make the bosses less annoying, just please keep killing those other Brainiacs, you only have 10 left! The squad kills their third Brainiac, and you just reappear at the Hall of Justice. Expansion's over, there's no cutscene, there's not even a line of dialogue reflecting that you just took down another Brainiac. The expansion just cuts off the second you kill the boss. I know the dev team is working hard to try and create a viable product, but shit like this sends a message that they've given up. My takeaway from the new expansion was that Rocksteady was apologizing. Schnick's takeaway was that they quit. They added 2 new enemy types that barely do anything, they added 1 new mission that's pure garbage, and it feels like they've removed more content than they've added. Multiple mission types are gone, modifiers that make enemies tougher are gone, gizmo vehicles are gone. I don't think we ran into a single Batman-infused enemy the whole time, so that's another mechanic that's gone. 3/4 of the expansion's length gone. Deadshot's friggin' Easter outfit gone. They're still reusing the same maps, and weren't we supposed to get an offline mode? Still no word on that after 3.5 months. This new expansion feels like it's been stripped to the bone just to have something to release. But they're still plugging ahead, going by this supposedly official render of the next DLC character. And cripes, if this is real, way to make the most boring and generic Mr. Freeze design ever! Last time I talked about how hackers have been playing as Deathstroke, who's apparently done despite not releasing until wintertime, and the Deathstroke hacker has supposedly leaked the planned story for the remainder of Suicide Squad's DLC. Supposedly, Rocksteady's plan is to reveal that the Justice League is still alive and that we were killing clones in the base game. Every season of DLC from this point onward will involve rescuing a League member. Yes, this includes Batman, and yes, they supposedly planned this far enough ahead of time that Kevin Conroy voiced the expansions before he passed away. And after rescuing Batman, Green Lantern, and the Flash, the 5th expansion will see the squad and the League team up to kill the final Brainiac and save the world. Yeah, good plan chopping your story in half to finish it later. Except the game has to last a full year from now for this plan to work. And they still pissed off their audience on purpose. Remember that one time when Marvel tried to claim that Captain America had always been a Nazi sleeper agent and it was universally hated, but Marvel kept claiming that they totally weren't backing down from it? They lied. Months later, they revealed that it was a fake alternate history cap and the real one came back at the end of their big event comic Secret Empire. They just lied to try and hide a twist ending that everyone saw coming anyway, alienating massive chunks of the public for absolutely zero payoff. It's the same thing here. Rocksteady insisted for years that you totes magoats killed off the real Justice League because they either thought the controversy would sell the game or wanted to hide a pathetic twist for the expansions. And it blew up in their face on both fronts. People full-on boycotted the game so as not to see childhood icons get slaughtered, and the game is probably going to die before their stupid-ass story is completed. Rocksteady would be much better off just packaging whatever they have done into one DLC campaign called Save the Justice League and be done with it so the game can just end with dignity, but that won't happen. What do I think the future holds for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League? Well, Avengers and Anthem both strung along for over a year despite having no players. This thing could last a while on life support. I think, 3 seasons of expansions before everything falls apart. They won't add crap except the new characters that are apparently already done. The expansions will just exist so the game has updates. I think one of 2 things will signal the game's death knell. Either they'll release Deathstroke early out of desperation to attract players, or they'll announce that new content is on hold while they overhaul the game. Anthem 2.0 and all that shit. If either of those happen, this thing's over. But, who knows? This thing could drop dead at any time, and we'll be there to dance on its grave. We can dance if you want to, we can leave your friends behind, 'cause your friends don't dance, and if they don't dance, well, they're no friends of mine. Say we can go where we want to, a place where they will never find, and we can act like we come from out of this world, and the real one far behind. We can dance